Hello and welcome to John and James Live. How are you, James CeeLo?
I am very well, mate. What do you think of the shirt?
I've got a new word for you, suavacious.
Suavacious.
Is
I
that
like
even
that.
a word?
Do you think this is too much? Maybe just trying too hard. What do you think?
I think the buttons are too high. You need less buttons, I think.
What, from here? So just like
More,
right down to the belly button.
more chest.
Massive gold medallion. Mate, I haven't got any chest hair.
Who needs buttons, really? The sun's out, isn't it?
They're overrated. Well, it's just gone in.
Yeah, it has just gone in. It's a bit fresh this morning. How are you anyway, James? Everything okay?
I'm good. I'm good, mate. I'm just gonna feel this.
I'm admiring it. Yeah,
mate, it's quite thick actually.
What does it feel like? It feels like boyfriend material. No,
it's definitely boyfriend material.
The dad jokes are out today. So, James, today, people, if you're out there watching, give us a hey.
Well, a comment on the shirt, if nothing else.
Comment on the shirt. What do you think? We've left this one last minute because it's been so busy, James, hasn't it?
Crazy.
This last 34 days has been intense. We switched it up, didn't we, from January, and we said, right, we're going to go live 5 times a week, every day, and then we're going to do the articles. We said, I think we was going to do articles 3 times or 4 times a week, didn't we, at the beginning?
Craziness. What were we thinking?
We're like the kid in a sweet shop, when you just think, oh, we can eat, we'll have it all. You're a kid at Easter. We were like kids at Easter. Yeah. And then all it takes is for a few posts to kick off, which they have done in the last 34 days. And then it's thousands, which is no exaggeration. It's 5,000 comments.
Yeah.
In 34
It was it who said
days.
Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face.
Yeah.
It was probably, it may have been.
It sounds like a weird humble brag, doesn't it? Which we are pleased about. It's great, isn't it, to get engagement, because we've seen other, we follow a lot of people on LinkedIn, don't we? And we've seen other really huge accounts. Some have got hundreds of thousands of followers. Engagement seems to be low, James. Why?
I don't think that people are talking about stuff that we really need to be talking about. Personally, I think there's a level of apathy about certain subjects that maybe you kind of come across it and think it's the same thing that just maybe said a different way, and everybody's vying for our attention. So it's the nature of the subject matter. It's like, how can we engage with stuff that is affecting us on a daily basis, and how do we have a conversation around it? That's literally all we're doing. It's the vehicle and the conduit for having a conversation about stuff that we're all feeling. It's emotional, it's unsettling, and how do we get some perspective on it? Can we bring it back to that kind of center point of where we got these extremes that swing from one way to the other way, and everybody's kind of like vying for attention on how do we be a little bit sensible and bring it back to the middle? I think that's what we're trying to do anyway.
You think it's because it's like a sales page on LinkedIn and everyone's sort of just pitching their products? Is that why the low engagement?
Well, maybe there is. I don't know.
Transitioning LinkedIn, isn't it? It's moving to a Facebooky type. It's like a professional.
The lines are blurred.
The lines are blurred now, aren't they? Yeah, 100%. We've got Rob Dunstan's come up, said, you wouldn't mean how to start a 6-figure online business on LinkedIn, would you? Is that Rob's, is that your game, Rob, to start 6-figure businesses?
Elaborate, Robert.
Rob, we don't do 6-figure businesses. We do 9. We start at 9-figure here on John and James Live.
I don't get out of bed for 6 figures.
6 figures? What's that? 6-figure a day businesses, James.
Okay.
That's what we're doing here.
Bit of clarification. Maybe we need more clarity on that.
We've seen it. LinkedIn has turned into a bit of a it's like a sales pitch Facebook page type of thing, isn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
I guess
so Rob said it's all that he sees. So Rob said, no, it's all I see. Yeah, it's true. Right. It is true, mate.
Of course. But
it is true. It is true.
6. Yeah, I suppose why would that be though? Because is that really, it's probably the holy grail, isn't it, for most people? A 6-figure business is where people want to be to survive, isn't it? In a good place, whatever. I don't know, 6 figures, $100,000 a year type of business. That's where most people just want to be to feel comfortable. If you can do something you love for 6 figures,
I think it's an attainable number, isn't it? It's not beyond the realms of possibility, and that's possibly the hook that's being used. Is that kind of, whenever I think about, I guess, what you would consider to be successful, it's probably around that 6-figure number, isn't it? It's 100K plus, and then you start to believe in what you could do with it, and what your monthly income would be out of that, and what that represents. So, again, it's using the tools that you have at your disposal, those little hooks that get people interested in promises that maybe you can deliver, maybe you can't. But I think when people are in a situation where that is something that's desirable, you'll have an audience for it, won't you?
You have the audience for it, yeah. I don't know if I get that as much on my feed, but I haven't been... What happened at the turn of the year, James? I'm going to tell you what happened at the turn of the year. I met you, didn't I, James? Turn of the year? Oh. And I went from consumer John to creator John. Years and years of consuming. How many people? It's amazing once you turn into the creator, how little you see of other people's stuff. It's like you haven't got time to even look at it. There's no like wasting scrolling on videos, things, and doing that type of stuff. You're thinking, I need to come up with a new article. I need to think of a new angle. I need to produce this video. We've got videos going out in the morning. We've got a live show at 1. Then we need to do video at 6. And then tomorrow it's the articles. Then I got to reply to comments. So when you're in creator mode, you don't really, I can't really remember what I've seen. I don't know if you can, James. You're much more lazier than I am, James. So you probably...
Clearly. I just go out and buy new shirts.
You just look cool. That's your
I think I've overdone it. I think maybe I've overdone it, but I can't take it back now. This is live. It's out there, isn't it? Yeah, I'm just gonna have to suck it up, live with it. Mate, I think going back to what you said, it's like you're 20 years in the making. Where you are now is 20 years of all the research, all the interest, that you are a voracious consumer.
I'm addicted to consuming.
Statistics, and
addiction.
Social commentary, and you're able to do what you do now because of that 20 years. So, it's just having that realization that now is the time to start to put all that stuff into practice, and not do any more research before you feel able to actually have a voice.
Right. That's probably a good thing for people out there, James, isn't it? What you just said there is a good point for people. It's, when you're going to pull the trigger, as they say, when you're going to actually start creating or cultivating your voice or putting yourself on the line in whatever that is. You might be in a corporate job and you want to leave. You might be doing whatever, or you want to go online and have your say or have a voice. And for us, we just saw a gap where we want to facilitate conversations, don't we, James? We sort of want to be the Ant and Dec of the online live world, and then and that's where we want to be. This is a post that struck my interest, hoping to learn more about this area. What area was that? Sorry.
Oh, they've put the link.
We can't see the links on here, so if you just say the heading of it, child's brain being hijacked.
Hijacked.
Was that the Sundays one, James?
It was. That was the one we discussed on Wednesday. So we're going to do more. We're going to expand these subjects. I think what we've talked about is rather than jumping from one subject to another, of having that kind of continuity of having that thread of conversation, discussion coming through, so it can be explored in more detail. I think people are, interested in these subjects, and if we're jumping around too much, then it gets a little bit sort of disjointed. So what we will do is do more on particular subjects. Yeah, is your child being
hijacked? Yeah, 100%.
So I'm just in conversations now. So what we're doing is John was saying, was we're facilitating the conversation, but what we'll do is bring in experts, because we're not experts. We're just a couple of guys who've got an awareness about what's going on. Well,
James is not.
I'm clearly not. But just to have the conversation and maybe talk about stuff that other people aren't prepared to talk about, and certainly live, and then bring in people that do know what they're talking about to facilitate a deeper, more in-depth conversation that actually has a bit of substance to it.
Can you see who that LinkedIn user is, James?
No.
Whoever this is. I don't know if maybe it's because we're not connected yet. So if you connect with us, then I think
there's a setting that you can hide your details, which is fair enough.
Let us know who you are. But no, I'm glad that you liked the post, because it's had 3,219 reactions, 1,268 comments, 620 reposts, and it's now hitting nearly 300,000 impressions and 200,000 members reached from that one post. So it shows you whether it's video posting. If you hit a chord,
I think it's subject matter, isn't it?
The subject matter. 100%. But again, for us, we want to talk about big questions, and then build communities around asking big questions and having awareness and being facilitators for conversations, don't we, James? Like I said, the sort of Ant and Dex of the online live world.
Who would you be out of Ant and Deck?
My forehead's quite big.
Yeah, but it's not as big as mine, though, mate, is it? If we're purely going on
small
forehead.
Yeah, maybe, but I'm taller as well, aren't I? So,
well, I guess I don't know which one's which. To be fair,
I'm 6'6", and what are you? 5'6".
Yeah, I'm 4'6".
I do love Ant and Deck.
No, I'm on about 3 cushions here just to get me up to the height of the.
But it has been a crazy month. Those kind of posts, in terms of the LinkedIn user that said about that, and we say about screen time, it's definitely not the kids. The kids are being primed for screen time. 100%. It's a problem. It's a big, big problem. But the adults, like myself, if we looked at my Monday screen time.
Well, I think now we need to reveal, didn't we? Because we were talking about it on Wednesday.
Yeah, we said we'll reveal screen time, didn't we? Should I bring it up to say I'm not lying on this one?
Yeah, maybe do it now, mate, before we forget.
the LinkedIn user said no, not Ant and Deck, please. Any other two blokes?
Okay.
Which one?
All right,
Dick
suggestions, please. Can we have Dick and Dom? Mate, you're showing your age.
Should we just be John and James?
Dick and Dom in the LinkedIn.
Okay, go screen time for me on Monday. Romel. This is Romel. Hey, Romel.
So, Romel, who should we be?
Should we just be our authentic selves, James, or is that just a terrible idea?
Yeah, do we need to be anybody else? Is the question. Okay, what was your
overrated?
Before we forget,
my last week's weekly average is 15 hours
and 47 minutes.
That's So if we look at my average on LinkedIn, can you see that or not?
It's a little blurry. 35 hours and 9 minutes.
35 hours that week. On Monday this week, it was nearly 17 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is Monday. Can you see Monday?
I can see Monday.
So as you can see, that's a decent amount of screen time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Ramel,
on this
Ramel said just be yourself, James.
Be yourself.
He said, John, don't be yourself, but James,
be yourself. Yeah, John, be somebody else.
Be somebody else. I'll be whoever you want me to be.
Ooh.
No?
No. Dodgy territory, mate.
So guys out there, what is your screen time? Tell me your average screen time, because I was a little bit surprised because I haven't checked my screen time this year. Until I did that post, I was thinking, wow, that's quite heavy. You know, we've both got, well, you got adult children, I've got teenage children, but much of the time they're at school, they're doing their things. In the evening, there is quite a bit of screen time, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
There's
busy. A lot of kind of pinging going off in the background. It's kind of Snapchat pings.
Yeah,
and then
WhatsApp.
I think it's interesting when you look at the different platforms of the age groups they seem to connect and contact each other on Instagram. So they'll send each other Instagram DMs. And that's, again, how they can. And you think, well, you've now got access to so many people that can contact you via Instagram that they don't need your number, but you can obviously regulate who you speak to and who you don't speak to.
You can do,
but it's that level of access, isn't it, that was never there before. You know, you had to know somebody who knew somebody. I mean, LinkedIn's another thing, but at least with LinkedIn, if you buy the Sales Navigator, then you can contact people directly without actually connecting to them. And I think you've got so many that you can. But it's another way in which you can get access to people that you would never in a million years have gotten access to unless you knew somebody who knew them.
100%. Yeah. But for the kids, you've got to put the barriers up, haven't you? I would say, don't let your kids have social media apps. I wouldn't. Definitely not under 16. WhatsApp, if they're in WhatsApp groups, but I definitely would have let mine have, Instagram and all of that stuff. That's not happening, not under 16. I don't think it's a good move. That's personally me. It's up to you. People can do whatever they want to do. But that's one way of navigating that part.
Yeah.
And just you can put those apps in place. No, I know people who put those, the time restriction apps in place. I'm not going to say who it is, but you know who it is, James.
We know who it is.
And somebody then says to me, James, they say, "Oh, John, can you? I told you to not give me the password. Can you just give me the password, please, so that I can get back in to it? Because I just need it for like 10." So it becomes like a pain. Like, so people are trying their best. Yeah.
Yeah, you're the gatekeeper. But it's weird that we need an app to stop us from using apps. I mean, it's this like infinite loop, isn't it? You can kind of go round and actually think, we are disappearing up our own arseholes with this.
Yeah. So Ramel, tell us, what's your screen time? And Rob, if you're out there, come on.
Or anybody, are you willing to?
Rob, who's going to tell their screen time out there? I'll be very interested to see what people's.
Who's going to go first?
Is not your Safari history. But nobody wants to see.
We don't want to know that. We don't want to know that.
No one wants to see James's, definitely. You know what came to my little mind, James, then about this screen time thing? Weather.
Mm-hmm.
Is it because we're in a country that with poor weather? Is that we're an inside culture, aren't we? Whereas when I'm abroad and I'm all like everybody's sitting outside, maybe it's just it's an inside culture thing. We're very TV orientated. Everything's indoors because the weather's so bad. If the sun's out, do you think people are on their phones left? When I go on holiday, I'm never on my phone. I'm in the moment. I'm by the pool. I'm sipping my cocktail. I don't even drink cocktails.
What's the cocktail of choice? I
don't
see you as a cocktail guy, mate. I think you're making that up.
But yeah, I don't even drink cocktails. Mojito.
I think as Ramel says, you should just be yourself, mate. Don't try and make out you're a man that drinks cocktails.
I don't drink cocktail. Maybe I'll have one. I'll have one bottle of beer, and then after that, I'm bloated. I'm done. I'm not a big drinker, James. I can't really handle it.
No. Well, I've been teetotal for 5 years, man. 5 years.
Except for that brown paper bag that you've got
stashed away that nobody knows about
in the corner. Let's go. Screen time is a factor, of course, but I think there is so much more to it than just screen time. Ramel, I don't know if Ramel's seen our last live on this about screen time, but we went very deep on the screen time. This is about corporate greed, billions of pounds spent on psychologists to convince people to stay on these apps and screens to get people addicted for advertising revenue. So this rabbit hole goes to the heart of whatever you want to call it, the social system, market economics, capitalism, and this is a real manipulation of people's mind. And then we said, James, didn't we? It's actually rewiring your brain, your dopamine sensors, everything's getting exhausted by it. So you're going to have to do more and more and more. So it is definitely, like Ramel saying,
a good indication.
A good
indication of that is, I'll do it. So it's an experiment on a child's mind. In the social dilemma, former tech executives admit the truth. Your child is the product. Their attention, their emotions, their very psychology monetized, manipulated, and controlled. Tristan Harris, a former Google ethicist, revealed that social media algorithms are deliberately designed to be addictive, exploiting the brain's reward system in ways eerily similar to gambling, and it's working.
Yeah, so this is my post, James. This is what
your post.
This is what I'm saying. This was the bit that got him. Yeah, I don't know if Ramel, if you've seen the social dilemma, it's definitely worth a watch on there. There's another billionaire guy. I can't remember his name. He's got a long name, but I think he was on that program as well. He does the All In podcast. Chama Matatia or something. Have you heard of him? I've probably got that completely wrong, but
possibly, mate.
Yeah, he was one of the guys working there because what happens is with these platforms, it's like all of the platforms, isn't it? You get the attention first. You try and get the attention and create the addiction like a drug like a drug dealer. They will go to the area, they will give out the drugs for free.
Yeah.
Perfect. You get people hooked, and then all of a sudden
there's supply and demand.
Yeah, then you've got repeat business. You've got people addicted and they're going out robbing people.
Well, that's the whole freemium model, isn't it? That's entirely the freemium model, that apps will get you in on a free 7-day trial, maybe a couple of weeks. And once you've gotten to know the platform and think that you want it and need it in your life, then you're willing to pay for it. It's a whole freemium.
And getting engagement and reach is the dopamine hit at the beginning. That's why you go on TikTok, then you can get loads of engagement quicker because they're at the stage of being the drug dealer. They're in the drug dealer giving out free dopamine stage. And then what they'll do is they'll put the paywalls behind it, like Instagram does now, probably like LinkedIn does now. And then you're going to have to pay for the reach, but they've already got you hooked in then, because you'll end up thinking, oh my god, I can't get anywhere near as much engagement as I was before. Back in the day on Facebook, you could just do a regular post and you'd get like thousands of views because that's the stage they was at. Now you put some of the big players like Tim Ferriss, and I looked at it and he's got like 3 comments, and I'm like, how? This guy's got 1 million followers.
It's mind-boggling. But so then it does have to come down to the subject matter, doesn't it? Or, maybe it's that because of the level of exposure and the notoriety is such that they kind of have an idea as to what the content is going to be and what it's going to be about. So I don't know. We can second guess this all day long, but Anyway,
saying governments don't protect their citizens anymore. Only a handful of governments actually put their people before profits. The government's so entwined with corporations these days, aren't they, James? It's a little bit blurry.
Difficult to separate the two, isn't it?
It's like, what would you do if you was... It's such a weird one with the capitalism thing, isn't it? Because it's their job to make money. So you have to sort of put these barriers in place, don't you, to try and say how far is too far? Where's the line in terms of manipulating people?
I think government, they have to attract investment, don't they? So they've got to make it desirable. They have to make it attractive for business to come over and invest in the UK. So if you make everything too punitive, you're going to drive them away to other countries that have got a less punitive system, that have got, less stricter rules in place. But there's got to be some level of balance. There has to, there's got to be fairness. There've got to be processes in place that allow people to make an honest living and not get totally caned for tax. And then, these large corporations coming in, getting massive tax breaks, and wherever they're squirreling it away, they've got, either in they're in Ireland or the Cayman Islands or wherever, they've got these little sort of offices dotted around the world that then allow them
trust accounts,
offshore trusts.
Yeah.
So, I completely understand, that London needs to be the kind of the commerce hub of the UK, and it has to attract these businesses in, and it's got to be an attractive prospect for them to come. Otherwise, they'll go elsewhere, and then we lose those tax pounds.
Yeah.
So, but
is that okay though? Should we just sacrifice that and just say, look, we want healthy citizens, we want a healthy culture? Because eventually, I think if you create a healthy environment, people will want to be here. It's like Dubai with their low crime and stuff like that. I know there is crime because they get a lot of poor people to, build the whole thing, which is...
I mean, I know a lot of people on LinkedIn that have sent comments to us have sort of cited the Scandinavian model of kind of society, that it seems to be a lot fairer, a lot more balanced, which, seems to be on the surface the case, but it's all comparisons. And I guess if you talk to certain,
we'd have to have people on, wouldn't we, to ask them?
Well, we would
to see what's going on.
It's an interesting subject, because if you're a resident, you might be very disgruntled, but from another, outsider's perspective, that might look very different. Okay, so we've got a message here.
Gemma. Hey, Gemma.
Hi, Gemma.
Do you want to read this with your beautiful voice, James, or do you want me to read it? Did I mention that I was from a council estate, James?
Oh, mate, I was wondering how long. We got actually 30 minutes in before you did. That is
Somebody mentioned that I say that too much. And
I was going to bring
sorry, Gemma. I just thought I'd sneak that in.
Have you finished?
I shall leave my little violin just above Gemma.
You've got 3 more mentions of the council estate, and then you're done.
Left this year.
Says, left this year. So Gemma says, I recently saw a session with Andrew Priestley, business coach and father to Daniel Priestley. That's interesting. He was talking about the battle to stop distraction by social media. He told us that now is a user versus 100,000 software developers, etc., all trying to keep the user engaged. That's what we've been talking about. It's overwhelming.
Yeah.
That's a phenomenal number. When he shared that back in December, it was one of the biggest light bulb moments in my adult life. I checked my phone for how much I was on social media. Shocking. I quickly forgave myself, though. Good for you, Gemma. But this is the thing. It's like
Gemma is on social media 24/7.
You know that the algorithm's there. And I find myself doing exactly the same. Then all of a sudden, I've kind of gone, shit, that was 10 minutes. And I've just gotten into the loop of that. And suddenly it's how you pull yourself out of that loop. And
do you get into a doom scroll, James, or is anybody out there doom scrolling?
I don't doom scroll.
I can get into a doom scroll, but James, you're not
that's
really.
Your personality, mate. I don't.
It's not your vibe.
I really don't. My scrolling is like, it's kind of funny videos, and maybe it's something that's just kind of a little bit lighter, and this
very low level stuff, low intellect.
Yeah. I'm a low level. I'm a low intellectual kind of guy, mate. It's like just kind of wash over me. That's all good, but it just kind of lifts. Yeah, but I don't. It's not news, and it's not. Occasionally, you'll get some really disturbing ones that sort of people fighting in the street, and it's like, I don't want to see that.
Yeah,
but I can see how it's kind of car crash TV that you're looking at it and going, oh, geez, is that really happening? And you're wondering if that is real or whether it's not. But no, I'm much more along the sort of the comedy stints and stuff like that.
I can get into
I
the
can
whole
pull
loop.
myself out of it. I can pull myself. I don't know what it is, but I can just be aware of when it's happening and have this default mechanism that just kind of kicks in and goes, what are you doing, James?
I can get lost in an hour of car crashes and murders, which is crazy. Normally, I'm a very dark soul with that stuff. It's Twitter X is awful. My algorithm is Is that the word? Algorithm.
Yeah.
Is
algorithm.
It's not good, James.
No.
My algorithm is not good. My Instagram algorithm is bad, very bad.
Right.
My YouTube, very good, very different algorithm. That one is more highbrow. It feeds me very political sort of system stuff, psychology.
So what is it about the different platforms?
I don't know.
Think it would be consistent across them all, wouldn't you?
I don't know if I've trained the YouTube one more, because if you looked at my screen time, my time on Instagram and X is super low. I don't think I'm on there enough to train the algorithm. So I think once I go on there, all it's doing is feeding me bits, maybe what are working for other people.
I've got a question for Gemma then, because Gemma's very much involved in neuroplasticity. So I would be intrigued to know if your brain goes into a certain state when you go to these different apps, that there's a level of kind of this pre-expectation, this kind of anticipation of what it is that you're going to be using that app for. So like, that when you go into YouTube, that's the type of content that you're going to go for. And there's that level of expectation, even if it's subconscious. When you go onto Instagram, that this is what you're going to use Instagram for. I would say that that's possibly the case, in my opinion. And then the level of expectation of what X looks like, because it is a lot more controversial. And
what worries me, James, is I'm an adult in that doom scroll, so I can contextually see, no, this is not good. I'm in it. I'm hooked. Why am I watching this? Freaking people beat each other up and stuff. It's ridiculous. Imagine if you're a kid and that's what you're consuming. Like, you're not really got that awareness or that understanding that this is. I come off of X and I think the world's ending. I'm like, is this humanity? It's awful. But maybe it's because I haven't curated the algorithm. So I'm not saying it's completely bad, but what I'm getting fed is terrible. But it's probably because I've watched a little bit. It's just going to feed me more, isn't it?
Yeah. So then brings into question. So I've got a conversation on Tuesday next week. Actually, we were talking about it earlier with a lady that is very much involved in protecting children online and what they see during their screen time. So I'll find out much more about it when I have a chat with her, and we'll see if we can get her on as a guest. But at the end of the day, it's like the parental controls. Now, both of us don't have young children, so we're possibly not in that kind of hyper-aware mode.
Loop now,
that they're now adults. They make up their own minds what they see online. But I'm concerned for like new parents now who've got children of sort of maybe 5 or 6 years old,
yeah.
and what they're consuming, and then what safeguards are being put in place as far as they're concerned as to what their children's looking at consuming. Because if there's no safeguards, if there's no parental blocks put on certain sites, they can have access to anything. And a 6-year-old child is going to have more knowledge about what to do online than potentially an adult, because these are the things that are subliminally going in there, and a child's, sponge-like mind is absorbing and developing 100 times possibly quicker than an adult's is. So they're able to kind of, and it's like, if you've got a problem with your phone, you give it to a 6-year-old and they'll sort it out.
This is a resource to this. Thanks, Gemma. Gemma's put, yes, James. You have an expectation priming of the app and the material on it, and the type of high you're likely to get from it and craving from it. It's like a Xbox quality street. We each get excited by a different chocolate. Purple Brazil's for me.
Yeah, I'm with you, Gemma.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, no, I kind of guessed it, but it's even subconsciously that must be going on in your head.
It's the priming stage, isn't it? Is it priming them to be consumers as adults, the money people, just waiting for them to then start spending? Because we had this on another article, didn't we, where we said, I don't know if Gemma agrees, but the statistics show that women are spending more, 80% more in terms of e-commerce online.
So online shopping.
I think it's different for young girls and young boys. There was a podcast I just saw a clip of with a lady who was saying about these young girls doing bikini pics and things on Instagram, and she said all of a sudden she had her boyfriend taking a picture of her in a bikini to put up on Instagram, and then she was questioning herself, thinking, why am I doing this? Maybe some of it in the early days, if people are single, it's more of a peacocking, isn't it? There's a lot of peacocking on the apps. They become sort of in between dating apps, you would say, maybe for young people. A lot of people are getting DM'd and things like that.
Yeah.
So they're not like an older person's dating app like the Tinders and things like that. They are a representation of your status and how you look and things like that. Is that how people are dating these days, James? Do you think it's a dating thing?
But when you think about, so back in the day, if you went out to a club or
in your day, in 1951?
According to the shirt, it was the 60s.
Okay.
So,
and how old was you in the 60s? You was what, 20?
I was an amoeba in the 60s, mate. Single-celled. So, but yeah, I mean, like, what would you do? You'd go out to a club and you'd observe. You'd see how people interact in public, how they talk to each other. Were they funny? Did they dance well? How much were they drinking? Like, all of those kind of visual cues that you can make up about a person. I guess now you're getting it from Instagram. You're seeing what they're posting about, and if they're doing like a day in the life that some people do, it's like a short video, whatever, what their day looks like, and you go, wow, that looks interesting. They look nice, or I quite like the way they sort of did that, whatever. So there's still that kind of distance observation thing going on, and I think that's even more so, like you were saying about dating apps, that you're getting more of that person than you would necessarily get on a dating app, because you've got literally a swipe, either left or right. When you're talking about Tinder, I don't know if Bumble's any different. I'm not going to come across like I know about dating apps, because
Jesus, James, you're a married man. How do you know so much about these dating apps?
That's I've got young kids.
You've got children. You've got adult children.
So, but all of these kind of things, it's like it's a snapshot. But actually, on Instagram, I guess you get to see more of the individual and go, okay, so I can swipe through their pictures and blah 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 blah. And then
you see more of the highlight reel, don't you, James? On there, you're not really seeing the reality.
The caveat is that it's an unreality because it's been curated. Depending on the individual.
Majority.
There might have been hundreds of photographs before that one photograph gets chosen to be put out. That situation was staged, all of those kind of things. But I can just see how it's kind of replacing what the kind of the reality is. So
Gemma
I go to the gym. Gemma,
either you go to the gym. Well, Gemma, I have been working out.
That's a double-edged question
bit,
right there.
You know, I just. Geez,
can you not tell,
that, James?
I know. So a friend went recently after a 15-year breakup from gyms, and was freaked out that it was full of people setting their phone up on the side so they could film themselves. Is this normal? Well, it is. It's normal. You know,
I think there's a gym shot culture, James. Have you seen it with the women are very scantily clad in the gyms, and they're really working on their glutes at the moment. This seems to be a trend.
The booty builder. So there's now a brand machine specifically called the booty builder. They've seen what the trend was, that, you know, and now men are kind of getting into it as well. There's a guy on Instagram who talks about blokes building their butt as well. So, you know, and there's these kind of
talking about the
trends
phone
that are coming through. But the phone use is intriguing because you're then bringing, and there was a time when you weren't allowed to take phones into gyms, certainly not into the changing room. So, you know, and there will be that thing now, notices on changing room doors. It's like it's prohibited to use for obvious reasons. You know, there's kids that go in there and all sorts of stuff. So, but it's just now become accepted, and you have had a 15-year hiatus from going to the gym. It's a completely different environment that people are, and I'm not going to use the word blatantly, but they are using their phones not only between sets to go on and look at social media. So they'll kind of sit down and then have their phone there, and you can see them just kind of scrolling through, but also taking in tripods to film themselves doing a workout, talking to camera in the mirror, taking a sort of, you know, a particular angle. And they're just doing it. And like, there's nobody watching almost, because it's just become so accepted. Now, is that right? Is that wrong? It just is. It's just,
well, James, James and I have been personal trainers. We did our personal training about the same time, didn't we? In 2006 or something like that. So it's been nearly
2004.
20 years as the piece. So we've seen the evolution in that. But for Gemma, to be honest with you, it's become a business model, personal branding, and the business of health coaching as well. In terms of this capitalist game, it's a fantastic business model. Let's say these guys have got, if you get 100 people paying you £100 a month to be their personal coach, and then all you got to do is upload, you know, something once a day, instead of doing personal trainer sessions back to back, it's just a way of leveraging your time. So a lot of these people are trying to, you know, because on the gym floor, the pay's terrible. It's hard being a personal trainer. You've only got so many hours in the day. So the only way they're going to do it is, I'm not saying everybody's a PT or coach or anything like that, but a lot of the people I see doing the videos in there have got some social media presence where they're trying to sell something off the back end. Because I think the body coach is a good example of somebody who's done that very well in the past, and he's making like £1 million a month at one point.
He was on the cusp of that wave. I mean, he was
right at the beginning of Instagram
really well.
So if you're seeing people doing it about 2015, it was about that, but it's probably because they're trying to leverage the personal brand and create some type of coaching community, because if it works, it's very time friendly, and it can be lucrative, James, can't it? That game.
And it's fascinating when you look at it. You think that it's just, you know, an extreme case of vanity. You know, that you're constantly checking yourself. You're constantly, you know, and it's kind of this self-perpetuating validation of self, that you have to be doing this to get that feedback, to know that you're doing the right thing or you're looking the right way. This instant kind of feedback loop of likes, that then allow you to go.
Doing it. This whole video is called, isn't it?
We're doing exactly the same.
This video is called 710,000K impressions with 15K impressions. We're in this game of. Completely. We're in the attention game, aren't we? There's no beating around the bush. If you're posting stuff and it's tumbleweed, then
yeah. But saying that, though, mate, in all honesty and for complete kind of transparency, we started this for you and I, for ourselves.
We did.
I've never spoken to somebody as much as I've spoken to you, of somebody that I've never met before. We just should make that clear. But this has been kind of therapy for us both, isn't it? Accountability.
It's been therapy for you, James. I'm completely level.
You're just along for the ride, right?
Yeah. I got into contact with James because my exercise last year as a former personal trainer was atrocious. And I just said, James, let's just jump on lives.
Yeah.
3 times a week. Let's get some commitment.
Press a button, this little sign comes up behind his head that says, help me.
Yeah.
I'm being kept captive.
But still, I wouldn't wake up in the morning and do those workouts if you're not there, because I don't know what it is, if it's my age. But I used to train twice a day back in the day and I was self-motivated. But at the moment, whether it's this time of my life, I just can't be bothered. So it's more of an accountability piece.
Yeah, I think there's an apathy that creeping apathy.
Everything's just evolved, hasn't it, from that? So screen time. Again, I think screen time, going back to it, James, as an overview, it's different from being a consumer. I'll give you a summary, guys. It's different from being a consumer to a creator. I said this to my daughter. I said, be the creator. It's like 0.1% of people are creators, 99% are consumers. You want to take that, James? So I would say try and be a creator, because he gets you to learn something, learn, implement. You're not just consuming wasteful information. You become the person on the other side. But I went through years and years, and I still like consuming. I still watch lots of videos, documentaries. I still follow people. I like reading books, articles, and things like that. So, but there's a balance. So I say strike the balance between consumer and creator. You know when it gets out of hand, and there are different phases of your life. If you're just starting a business, James, you're going to have to put potentially double time in at the beginning, and there won't be maybe a lot of life balance. So I would say, just because you're on your screen a lot at the moment doesn't mean it's always going to be like that. So actually just allow yourself times and phases where it is going to be a bit hectic, especially if you're trying to get things going, but realize that if it's getting out of hand, just bring it back. But children need guidelines and boundaries. And if you just let them run wild, then it's going to get out of hand and their behavior is not going to be good. And they need those boundaries in place. So you're going to have to put them in place, aren't you? I guess that's just parenting.
100%. It is just
and
parenting.
It's hard. Yeah,
and we can all get sort of overwhelmed with it and say, well, there's nothing we can do. But, we've got to figure out what we can do. What can we control? I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's like, can we control what they're seeing, how long they're on it for? And again, we've talked about before, it's this kind of extreme barometer of banning them completely and having a zero tolerance or free reign. Yeah. So is there a middle ground on that? It's like, well, depending on the age of the child as to how much agency they have, and that they make up their own minds what's good for them and what's not good for them. But knowing in the background, this algorithm is there vying for their attention.
Of course,
and, self-will and discipline is one thing. And you say, well, of course, you can pick your phone up, you can put it down, you can leave it and not look at it for 10 minutes. That's control, that's free will. But, there is a lot of stuff that's going on subconsciously that is drawing you back to this thing.
Yeah.
And
it's not just the phone, James, because what about the, in mostly every job now, people have got like 1 million emails to do. Most of the jobs, whether you're a trader or you're doing spreadsheets or you're doing whatever, your admin stuff, you could be on the screen easily 9-10 hours a day. That's what it says addiction, isn't it? That's your job.
Yeah.
So people's jobs are to stare at screens. So
immaterially of the sort of what's going on in the brain, you think of your eyes and how it's impacting people's eyes. If they're looking look at my eyes, not around my eyes, look at my eyes. If you're looking at a box, if you're looking at a box for long periods of time, then your vision becomes impaired, that you're then kept within a particular kind of area. You're not then training the muscles to look in the distance, to look at someone, in the near sight, long sight, but also
that's why people keep bumping into me on the streets.
Yeah, no, they're just trying to pick your pocket, mate, I think. Not that there's anything in there.
I think maybe you live near a lot of old people, James, don't you? You can't see. Is that where this theories come from?
Yeah, I don't live on a council estate.
Nor do I anymore, James.
Did you used to live on a council estate?
Well, now you mention it.
It's a funny story.
Now you mention it. There's a lot of nuance on that trajectory, James.
Yeah.
That's for those 2 words for my brother. But it's been a crazy 34 days. So it's about, screen time, attention. Some of it's the addiction. Some of it's your job. I'm hoping AI is going to come along and automate a lot of stuff so we don't have to be on the screens as much. I love connecting with people. I want to just grab my guitar, sing songs around the fire, and just be on the beach, sipping a nice drink.
You're an old hippie, aren't you?
I just want to be a hippie, go a little bit of traveling. That's what I want. I don't want to be stuck to my 16, 17 hours of day on a screen.
You just want to own your own orphanage.
That's what I would like, my own orphanage, James, 100%. I would love an orphanage, big grounds, huge garden, being outside, music. Anybody who can play instruments, sing, we're friends. I love it.
I can play the bongos.
You can play the bongos. You can dance though, James. So dancing's part of the ambience.
My wife doesn't think I can, but really I can. She's jealousy. She's in denial. It's massive jealousy, mate.
Jealous.
It's not attractive. It's not attractive.
But it's been, for us, I think what's working for us is the articles, big questions, big picture thinking on the articles, and then going towards the lives. And I think for us, we're going to start talking to more companies about facilitating conversations within probably medium-sized companies. I think
out of people, it's that as soon as you put a camera in front of somebody's face, it's that kind of like whoop.
Yeah,
you clam up. So how do we get people to not clam up, be themselves, and get the best out of them? We're also moving into fashion advice.
Fashion, 100% fashion. If you need fashion advice, then just
go to John.
Look at what we're wearing and do the opposite.
The Steve Jobs right now, aren't you?
I've got like an old man cardigan that I bought in the sale from M&S.
Have you zipped it up so it's in like a polo neck kind of thing?
It's not even a zip. It's a button.
Oh, mate,
it's
I like that. See, I thought it was if it had been a zip, that would have been very different. I probably would have lost
my fashion days. I go comfort, James. I'm a pure comfort man.
The buttons are a good look. If that had been a zip, I'd have lost all of my respect.
Buttons are very good. But yeah, we can give fashion advice if you want fashion advice. We can do it. But we are going to be speaking to more companies about facilitating conversations. If you've got live events, then you need John and James on a live event. You need us on the stage to talk to people, to bring people together, to ask the big questions, to bring out the authentic side of people, James. Would you say?
I possibly couldn't agree more.
It's much needed. Otherwise, I've seen some of these other lives slightly stiff, a little bit stiff.
Was that your reaction to it? Was that the...
You got to loosen the shoulders, James. That's what you need to do on these lives. Just loosen things up.
Relax.
But I would say to anybody out there, if you're producing content online, become the creator, first of all.
Good advice.
And experiment, because for lives, it's not for everybody, is it, James? It's maybe just our time of life and our personality types that we find it easier to just get on a live, but it's not for everybody. Some people,
just given up
caring. It's just desperation now. We're just on the lives all the time. But for some people, it could be writing. It might be curated video to help them. But everybody's banging on about personal brands and stuff now, aren't they? So I guess if you want to have cheap advertising, then how much would it have cost us to get what we've been in front of 500,000 people this month?
Yeah,
for free. It's only been our time that it's cost us. But if you was to pay for 500,000 eyeballs, how much you're charging for that, James? Pitch it.
Is that even legal?
It's got to be worth a couple of $100,000, isn't it? I would say.
Sounds like organ harvesting, though, mate. What you just said. Where would you get your eyeballs from?
Where would you get your eyeballs from? Eyeballs that only look in squares.
Yeah.
Directly forwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what we got next week, James? So we had an article go out yesterday that was about the education system. So sort of ties into the screen usage and the onset of AI in education. And we talked about in the article about the founding of the education system and the evolution of learning. People, what was it? 12% of people 200 years ago were illiterate.
Yeah. And is
that right?
Astonishing,
no,
isn't it?
That's not right. 78% of people couldn't read.
Okay. Mate, you're the stats man.
Yeah, 78% of people couldn't read like 200 years ago globally. I know the population was much smaller. I think we've gone from like 1 to 8 billion in the last 150 years. So it's a big leap. But now 86% of people can read. So it's a big jump there. But we're still a little bit archaic when it comes to schooling. How many kids do you hear say, "Oh, I can't wait to go to school, Dad. I'm so excited for school." It's rare, isn't it? I think part of school, I don't blame the teachers, but some of schooling is like beating the joy and curiosity out of children and the love for learning. It's like you come out of school, you're like battered. You just don't really want to learn anything more, do you? It's a lot of it's boring, James.
And when you think, then throw Ofsted into the mix, and they're all.
Ofsted.
I mean, they must absolutely dread Ofsted coming in, going, "Oh, Jesus."
Yeah. How can we create exciting learning experiences for kids? That's something that we've talked about with one of the people on our comments, didn't we, to that post? And that's something we want to be talking about. How?
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a transformation, James. Because AI is coming along.
We don't just want to come up with problems and highlight the issues. We want to actually bring into conversation.
Yeah, we need to figure out
what we can do. What are the practical solutions or things that we can just do to impact our own lives? It's like, we're not saying we're going to change the world, but it's like, how can you actually do something to move you in a direction that's different to the trajectory you're on right now?
Something, is that a word, James?
Something, yes.
Yeah. Ooh, we've got a question. Ina. Hello, Ina. Welcome.
Hi,
How
Ina.
are you?
So pronunciation, Mr. Hastings, is I think Ina, correct me if you're wrong, but it's Ina.
And I'm going to go Ina.
No, mate, you're way off.
But I did come from a council estate.
Jeez, that's your last one.
So,
okay.
James,
so I read this one up. Thanks, guys. You're right. The screen time for children has to be limited regarding their age. Their brains develop constantly and gradually. And, okay, we've got a few typos here, but to avoid a big load from digital devices and adapt them slowly to technology, we're human beings and not artificial intelligence. Absolutely right. We connect with the universe, the sky, the sun, trees, birds, rivers, etc. The healthy way for developing children is to do more activities for body and brain development in nature.
Perfect.
I completely
Ina
agree.
is from Luxembourg, potentially, if I remember rightly. I've never been. I wonder what the environment is there. We've talked about the bad weather here and people being more inside, but yeah. James, who's calling you? This is shocking professionalism from James. Just answer it now. Say you're live.
Christopher.
Yeah, sorry about this, guys.
It's all right. 2 seconds.
This is what I have to. This is what I have to work with.
This is real.
But Ina's completely. You're completely correct. 100%. It's a difficult situation. Kids' brains is developing, and we need to. We've got big changes that we need to make. We need to put boundaries in place to get that sorted. But we're
live. That was my number 2 son. Bless him.
And with that, James, I think we'll
end it there
for today. But thank you for everybody. Has anybody else got any other questions? Any questions at all? If you've got a question, just say yes, and then we'll hold on for 1 minute. If there's no, just say bye.
And it's been a joy and a privilege to spend time with you all. Thank you very much.
As always. And then we are back in on Monday.
So we're talking about
education system. No. Monday we're talking about the education system.
We are. You're right.
Yeah.
Wednesday.
AI. How's the education system going to change with AI? Is there any point in memorizing stuff if you can use, ChatGPT? What happens when we get Neuralink straight linked to our brains?
Yeah.
Memory is going to go out the window. Next, we'll tell people what we'll do next Wednesday. But we've been doing street interviews. So if you're in London next week, you might see us out on the streets interviewing people. So come and check that out.
That's exciting.
And Ina has left 3 hearts for me and none for James.
None for me.
Thanks, Ina. Sorry, James. It's just the way the cookie crumbles, my friend.
It's fine. I'm cool with it.
Take care, everyone.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Much love.
Mick Webb, have a good weekend, guys.
Good weekend.
Thank you, Mick. Have a fantastic one, my friend.
Bless you.
And we will see you next week. Take care, everybody. Bye, James.
Bye. Much love.